All right, welcome, and I'm back again with the pillar to show some of the new stuff that I've been working on for GameBaker. I'm really pleased to see that some people actually got a hold of the add-on, and I hope it's proving useful. And as I've also mentioned to you guys, that if there's any issues or something, please let me know. Or if there's some feature or behavior you'd like, please let me know, and I'll take everything into consideration. So the last video I showcased some of the different things, and it was actually really cool to see that on different places, both on Polycount and Blender Artists, I got some feedback on it, and I took most of that to heart, and I've been working on some of these different things, which I'll showcase here today. I just want to let you know that most of the time spent the last week or so was really focused on doing this cued baking. And I wanted to do cued baking where you would get complete feedback. So basically how you would bake any map here in Blender where it doesn't freeze Blender up. That proved to be quite challenging. So I'm still working on it, but I kind of put that on hold, and I've been able to do some partial feedback, which is what I'll also showcase. Okay, but let's get right to it. And what you might be able to see here is that I did quite an overhaul on the UI. Well, not completely, but I listened to some of the feedback and changed some things here and there. I also utilized the buttons more, so you can actually get some information on what it is that you're missing. Common thing would probably be that you haven't added your low poly in the mesh info tab. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that immediately. I'm going to add active, and then you can see I'm able to bake. Another thing is also, because that could throw an error, if you're in edit mode, you're also just going to be told you must be in object mode to bake. All right. So I changed the button layouts a bit here, so you can enable overwrite bakes here. You can pack your bakes just like you could before. The difference being that now if you want to export, yes, so we added export as well. You can go in, I can pick some bakes here, GameBaker, and then I hit accept. And you can see here, if you do relative path, it's just going to ask you to use the absolute path. There are some technical reasons that I'm just not going to add the possibility of relative path. I could do that. It just might be more error prone. And if not, someone could definitely let me know how they would go about doing that. But this, I would say, you know, it can't go wrong because you have the direct directory to work with. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically the export. Other than that, we have the same things in the mesh info. Not a lot has changed there. Generate cage, a bit on the UI, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. So now bake types is another tab here. I'm just going to close the mesh info. So the bake types are going to show up like this in a list where you can basically enable them, and this will create the queue of the bakes. So I can enable albedo and ambient occlusion, and as soon as you enable them, you get the relevant settings for that bake, and then we can enable normals. Might want to use Unreal, okay, and then curvature, right? So now we have our queue here. All right, let's try to do some baking. So we have the queue set up here, and I'm just gonna try and hit bake. So what you see is we get like a bake queue here. I mean, right, this instantly very fast because we don't really have so much information. It's only the low poly. But basically it creates a queue here, and then it tells you that it's baking, and then everything else is as normal. The bakes appear over here in the node editor. So I'm going to keep overwrite bakes on. I will just try to... Actually, let's go in and enable the high to low. Here I already have it picked. We can enable the cage as well. It's also picked. I'm just going to make sure that we have both visible. They do not need to be selected, but they need to be visible. All right, and we're going to try again. So you're going to get an idea of what I mean with partial feedback in here. So we hit bake. The first one that it initializes, it's going to kind of freeze up because it's running on the main thread, but it is still baking. So we're just gonna let it do that, and as soon as that one's done, you're gonna see the bake queue of what it's working on right now. I might change it a bit because I think it might be working from bottom up. Right now it was the albedo. I think the normal map might be last. But yeah, so you get an overview of what's missing here. You can see that it is baking, it is in progress. So yeah, I'm trying and I'm working on giving as much information as I can, but it's also limited. So now it's the last bake, and that's just gonna bake as normal. Normal. So that's part of it, and I am working on doing it with full feedback, but as I mentioned, that proved to be quite challenging. You might have noticed that the AO came out a bit weird. I checked the other baking just through normal cycles. It's not the add-on. It's something to do with my mesh that I haven't dealt with yet. Yeah, and so let's say you just want to bake an albedo map. That's gonna work just as normal. So it's gonna pop up the same way, but it's gonna bake it in the way where you get full feedback, just as you would with any of these by themselves in that sense. All right, so now we got some bakes, and I don't want to pack them in this case, so I'm just gonna hit the export button. And that's actually gonna bring them to this bakes folder here where you got the different bakes. So that kind of sums up how the new features work. And yeah, so thanks for watching.